G'day, this is Expand the Phantom Podcast. We are a website, a podcast, and a way of life. You can find us at chroniclechamber.com. I am Jermaine, and this podcast is our November newspaper stories, comics, and news review. Now, it is going to be a little bit different. You are stuck with me for most of the episode as, unfortunately, Dan and Stephen are enjoying the late rush to the school year. Thankfully, I won't be alone for the whole episode. With Daniel Brogner will be stepping up to ensure there is someone who will be able to disagree with me. Daniel is a faithful Patreon who is always happy to tell us what he agrees with and, most importantly, what he disagrees with. So he will be joining us for most of the episode. So Daniel, how are you?
Very good, mate. Happy to be on.
Awesome. So I appreciate you coming on. So this is not a WA takeover invasion, even though everything is better in WA. It is God's country. But no, I appreciate you coming on and joining us. So we're going to cut over to the daily and Sunday stories, and then we're going to shoot back, and then we are going to talk about the comics and news. All right, as we always do, we're going to start off with the daily and Sunday stories, which are found on Comics Kingdom. Another great website that you can use is the Phantom Trail, done by Eamon King as well. So there's plenty of options. I believe even Comics Kingdom has a sale on at the moment. So if you're umming and ahhing about doing it, when they have a sale, that is the time to sign up and get a bit of a treatment as well, especially with the Phantom 2040 series as well. So there's 3 different Phantom stories you can read at the same time. All right, so we are up to daily 269, the Muckmen of Zumaridi River, however you say that. So when we last left the Muckmen, the Phantom had enlisted the help of the cook and his 2 helpers, and then Patrolman Dailahan has joined the camp. So Kristen's theory, which we shared last month, could still be on. Now, what was actually interesting, well, what I found interesting, so seeing it's just me, you're going to have to listen to what I find interesting, and that is that the Phantom calls the Jungle Patrol hotline rather than calling the Wirrabroo's own personal cell or his own personal phone number, which you would think he has. So I thought this was an interesting theory enough that I actually reached out to Tony DePaul and asked him myself why he would do it like this. We raised it on our social media pages. Some fans were a little bit unsure about why the Phantom would do that. So we thought, well, let's ask Tony so we can actually, instead of having harebrained ideas and getting upset, we can actually get inside of Tony's brain, which is a scary proposition in itself. But this is what he had to say. And he said, and I quote, "That sequence of strips isn't about technology at all. A close reader will see that it's not. The Phantom must have Wirrabroo's phone number. He can call Wirrabroo directly, but he chooses to go through the comm desk. Why?" Which is what we were wondering. Because in the Commander We'll See You Now, we saw the Phantom adopt a new strategy in his relationship to the Jungle Patrol. It's counterintuitive, but he means to build the unknown commando's legend by making him feel more of a presence at Jungle Patrol headquarters. He knows that Smith and Armando are going to tell that story all over the compound. So interesting theory. Would love to hear what you guys think. So anyway, as we know, it makes sense to me. It was about 2 weeks for that sequence of events to happen. And I think, look, most people's complaints or criticism is that sometimes it can take a little bit longer for those points to be portrayed. But I guess it's, again, which we've always said, is when people make those complaints, they're usually comparing it to stories that have been reprinted in a comic strip rather than actually reading the story one day at a time or 2 panels at a time. So we'll leave that one there. Now, I'm still intrigued where the patrolwoman is going to come into this. As you can see here, she has, when we're looking at the 20th of November, so, you know, towards the end of this last month that we're going to discuss, she's around. Is she going to take control of what is to happen next? The Phantom sorts the problem and then just melts away in the background. I don't know. But you know, Christian's theory about, maybe making an an arm of the Jungle Patrol with with her as the leader of the Ivory Lana, what would you call it? Branch still has merit because, as you will see, I'll just skip forward a little bit. These people that the fandom is specifically targeting, as you can see here with the ring, are not skull marked. So, you know, that is still, that interesting theory is still there. We did raise that theory also to Tony DePaul, and basically it was a no comment. So, again, read into that as you will. I do like how there was some continuation of the Phantom working in the shadows. Who is he? Is he John X? Is he the unknown commander? Is he the Phantom? That mysteriousness. I'm not a fan of John X personally, but I do like the involving or the continuation of that myth. Um, Now, one thing I do have to kind of raise, which I don't think this is a miss with Mike Manley's artwork. It is a myth with the colorist who, again, I don't want to sound like I'm having a go at them. They have a lot on their plate, but it's called a weekend miss. Is you've got the cook here, you've got the white guy here with arm bandages. And then if you look here, they're there, but they're not coloured in. This is the 23rd and the 24th of November. And then by the 25th of November, ironically, which was actually my wedding anniversary, they are not there. So again, and then they're here on the 26th of November, but they're not coloured in. So again, read. It's just a little bit of a weekend miss where you kind of do your strips and then you get to it the weekend after or the day after, and you kind of forget the continuity. All right, so we've got, it's kind of, and then again with what I said before on the 3rd of December, there goes another storyteller. Wherever evil men gather, he'll bear the mark and tell of this encounter with the ghost who walks, the legend handed down to me by my ancestors. Now, this was something we actually touched upon in our recent episode. I think it was 321, which was about the old jungle sayings as well. So that's why the Phantom has to be theatrical, is to be able to embrace and to be able to spread these stories, these myths. All right, so we've got that. So look, I don't really know where it's going to happen. But yeah, I guess we will see where we go on that one. Okay, so as we touched upon in our last November comics news and reviews, this is the story, the Sunday story, Sunday 197, The Ungraved. Now, we said back then that we think we are finished, and we're still going. So again, we're going to double down and say think we are almost finished, but I'm sure we will say that again in January or even December. All right. So as we can see here on the 25th, no, sorry, this is the 2nd of November. The way the Americans do their dates always catches me out. The Phantom has rescued the plane, has rescued this guy, and the shipwrecked or the plane wreck of the plane has disappeared because it's not now going to be wrecked in the jungle. And we last time we talked about a lot of what do you call it? What's that movie? Back to the Future elements and stuff like that. Now what we're getting, we've got a really sweet little panel down here, about the Phantom being, what would you call it, mentioned along of OSS and, crack outfits, which we know the Phantom's better than all of those put together. Now, we thought that the Phantom was going to land on the grasslands, which we all thought they were. But as we found out on the 23rd of November, nope, sorry, on the 30th of November, the plane is going to land in modern day Mawatwan in Bangala. So that is interesting What's going to happen with that? I guess we will wait and see. It really does feel like we're towards the end, but we will have to wait and see. I hope you've caught up to date with the comics and news. So now what we're going to do is we are going to step into the free comics. We have all the other international comics to come very, very soon. Free issue we are going to review is Frew number 2009. It always gets a little bit difficult when you're dealing with these issues because it's 2009 and we're talking about the Frew issue, or we're talking about the year issue. It gets a little bit confusing. So first up, the cover is done by Ben Brady. Daniel, what are your thoughts on the cover?
Absolute knockout cover. I believe his second cover, and they're all hand painted.
Yes, yes. I know he's done a time lapse of the first cover, which we'll have showing now, so you can see it. Looking forward to seeing the second one. I know he was selling the first one. I think he was selling it to his Patreon viewers first, and I'm not sure if the second one has gone up yet. But I believe, yeah, I reckon there's a few fans out there that are signing up for his Patreon and eagerly looking at to see how much these covers will be.
And rightly so. The colours are amazing. The perspective, is done a brilliant job.
He has. So yeah, look, I hope you other fans enjoy the cover. So we're going to go through the story. So we'll flick. If you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see it as we flick through it. If you're only on audio, we will try and describe it to the best of our abilities as we go. So this story was created by Norman Walker, who was probably one of the main Phantom writers back in the 70s and the 80s when this story was first created, and the art is done by Newt Westad, who is Norwegian. And in Dudley's message, there is a wonderful story about Westad and how he was encouraged to draw some stories for the Phantom. So what did you think of this story?
I really enjoyed it, start to finish. Definitely had that 70s feel to it.
Yes.
Really enjoyed the artwork. Had that James Bond feel to it.
Yes.
Yeah, the rich villain. Yeah, the bad guys still in a carnival costume.
Yep.
It really did have all those elements, those adventure elements as well. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. I don't know why it was in the vault for so long, but worthy of a reprint. It was, yeah, really enjoyable.
Now, while there's aspects of the art that I really enjoyed, I also think there was some pages and panels that look, I don't want to poo-poo an artist who draws better than me and, something that was created 40 odd years ago. But some of the art, I don't know, the compositions or like the panel usage was not enjoyable. Like this one on page 12, it just kind of seems like an empty, big waste of space.
Yeah,
Even this one
considering
on
everything else
page
was full panel. Yeah,
this one on page 13, I don't know, there's just some panel work that just didn't really work for me. But like this one here on page 14, I would have much rather that being a half page or a full pager of that, that piece of artwork. So I I agree with you that there's some amazing artwork in there. Overall I enjoyed it, but there was just some panels that I don't know whether you call it the composition, and I'm not by an artist by any means, but some of it just seemed a little bit, yeah, odd for me.
to me, it had quite a similar style to Leonard Moberg.
Yeah, I was thinking George Bess, but yeah, I could see a little bit of Leonard Moberg.
And I think his physique on his Phantom is correct. He's not full of muscles. He looks athletic.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and that's why I was thinking George Best as the art, because the Phantoms that life looked at, when we've talked, we've always said about how we prefer that than the over muscle, and I know Dan and Stephen are probably the same as well. So, but you're right. Like, there's a lot of James Bond elements. Like, there's the trickeries, there's secret passages, there's using medieval shields as against guns, and there's all those type of things. There's a bit of Temple of Doomish type of feel with
Yeah.
from Indiana Jones as well. So yeah, look, what I liked about it is this is a full 31 page story, right? Some stories they feel rushed or they feel like they've been drawn out too much, but I feel the pacing in this story is actually okay.
I'd agree. It's spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. Now there was some nudity in this. Did you kind of pick up on that or anything like that, or did you kind of like?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't pick up on the first read. On the second read before this podcast, I did, but it's minor, and I think Europeans aren't as sensitive to it as we are.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely it wouldn't been yeah highlighted or drawn to, or we I think Frew seems to get a letter every so often if the Phantom says damn, or it's very minor. I think if you've got uh the content advisory, I think we're good.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like when I first read it, I didn't even pick up on it. There's a couple of panels in there. Like I like this last page. You've got the Phantom hiding his ring, so it looks like a wedding ring instead of
Mm.
a skull ring. You've got when the lady clicks that Mr. Walker and
Yeah.
the other person are the same, and then you've got it's not, I don't think it's Uncle Dave. It's Kirk, is it
Kurt.
Kirk?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kurt.
where he kind of goes, he kind of adds to the rumors and stuff like that. And that was something that we talked about in one of our recent podcasts with the old jungle sayings as well, about how it's these type of elements that add to the intrigue and the mystery of the Phantom as well. So I did quite like that. But yeah, overall, I'm not really sure why it was probably not printed by Frew. Do you have any theories why you reckon that could be the
I,
case?
I don't know. It was overlooked for whatever reason, but to our benefit. Hopefully, there's more stories in the bag that see the light of day, and Frew are doing a good job of printing unpublished stories. So yeah, bring them on.
Yeah, I can only like I don't I I have a little bit of a theory that like I don't think it was nudity because it was like one page where you can hardly see it. I wonder if it was maybe the art quality was not top notch at the for the full story, but I also wonder if it was more to do with the fact that when Frew was publishing these stories, when they started publishing them heavily in the 1980s, they had their full back catalogue for almost, 20 odd years. And then they had all the new stories coming out as well, that they were physically not able to print every new story. So, it might have just been a case of Jim, it just fell through the cracks or something. So, yeah,
And again, only to our benefit. 20,
exactly.
20, 30, 40 years later.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else you want to raise about issue 2009?
No, no. Again, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the cover. Enjoyed the artwork. Enjoyed the storyline. Yeah, ticked all the boxes.
Awesome. Completely agree. All right, well, we're going to move over to 2010. Do you remember what you were doing in 2010, mate?
Oh, probably still working in the bicycle store where I still am 22 years later.
So 2010 or issue 2010 from Frew is got two stories in it. It's got Dangerous Waters, which is a modern day Team Phantom story, which was first printed in 2024. And there was also a new story created by Shane Foley. So we're going to we'll look at the cover and then we'll go the two stories and we'll kind of go from there. Now, I remember when this cover first came out, you and I had a bit of a chat about it, and you said you were kind of hinting without reading the story and without knowing what was in the story along the lines of why is Marcelo Baez gone with the artistic license and having lightning coming out of the shark's mouth. Do you remember that conversation we had?
Yeah, yeah. Now, on reflection, on looking at the cover now, it does draw you in and question it, and draw you, make you want to read the story and be engaged. So it is a striking cover. It's different, but yeah, it has the effect to draw you in.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things you can usually tell Marcelo Bayers is one, Alex Tripp is another. There's certain cover artists who have a background in graphic design and they use elements that you'll probably miss to be able that add to the cover. So like for instance, and this is one of the reasons why on my scan I've included the back cover as well, because there's what, one, two, three, four, five skulls in these ink splotches that might be missed by most people, but it just kind of adds to that element. And 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 yeah, I don't I must admit I thought it was artistic license by Marcelo as well, but it's not. So in this story, we have it is written by Bern Friends, who is from Germany. He's written some articles for us on Chronicle Chamber. He also helped us translate a Henya Bade interview as well. So he's a friend of the website and of the community, and then art by Janice Auden as well. So we've got some mysterious happenings off the ocean of Bengala. And now all this stuff always happens in Bengala. And so the Phantom is called to investigate, which sees the Phantom wearing an outfit which is probably more used to what you would see on the ski slopes of Switzerland rather than Bengala. But we see the Phantom drinking milk, which still looks really, really cool, apparently. And he investigates what is happening with these various mysterious elements that is happening off the shores of Bengala. What did you think about this story?
Again, another really enjoyable story. Janice Auden definitely rated my top 3 artists currently.
Yep.
I believe his Burns' second story, published by Frew.
Ooh,
Previous story. Yeah, previous story was the what was it? Captured from Above.
Okay. Yep, that
Yep.
sounds about right. Yep. Captured
Yeah.
from Above, which was published by Frew earlier this year, I believe it was.
Correct. I think I forget the issue number. Had a similar pace, similar feel.
Yep.
There's I think with the 22-page story that Phantom are putting out, it's fast, it's snappy, it's action packed. It again ticks all those boxes in all those Phantom elements.
It's a good contrast between the other story that we just had, where this story, like you said, is a lot snappier and a lot more. There's no time to really set the scenario with a page or two, like the Carnival in Rio with this story, where, straight away we almost have, like, for instance, I'll just zoom there. We have, like this page here, this double page here sets up the whole story, which is best done by, newspaper, the news, where there's a lot of monologue and stuff like that. And then straight away we're into the story. So, yeah, you're right. One of the other things that I do like about it is where the Phantom asks for a room on the first floor, so it's easier for him to get in and out of the window. I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I must admit, I kind of think that there's almost too much going on in this story. That it almost has to be too snappy, where, like I'm reading it and I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. We're talking about sharks and now we're talking about uranium. And so, there's almost too much going on. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but again, I think that's the result of these shorter 22-page Phantom stories where they've only got that short time frame to tell the story. There's a beginning, middle, and an end, and yeah, as again, contrast to the previous story where we had that middle part, and he's gone back and referring to the previous story, is that to go back and capture the girl from the villain, etc., etc. So no,
Yeah.
I like the pace of these stories. I really liked his previous story as well, Captured from Above, and this is equally as good.
Yeah. Yeah. So we see the Phantom here drinking something. I wonder if that's like an up and go.
Yeah.
For those outside of Australia, that's like a milk drink, which is like a breakfast drink. He drinks milk, so Um, the other thing here is, on page 14, you see him, he's on the second level, looking over, and there's definitely two levels there where, back here, he's definitely on the first level. So yeah, maybe something that's just something minor. Again, it's almost got some James Bond type of feels where you've got, these electric sharks, you've got these fantastic underwater creatures, you've got this
The mini sub.
yeah, mini subs. You've got this presentation type of a house over cliffs with sharks swimming underneath and stuff like that. So
I also enjoyed the element of Diana helping out the Phantom from afar as well.
yeah, that's a good
That
point.
that was that was a good little inclusion as well. Whereas utilized her and her ability to access a database
Yeah,
to get some background over the people involved, etc. That was a good little touch.
that's a very good point. And I think we probably don't see that enough where Diana has resources and abilities to be able to help the Phantom where the Phantom can't do it, especially because he doesn't have the nerd in the van or, someone in the skull cave clicking on the keyboard. Um,
Mm,
so, it's good that he can kind of use other resources. So that's a very good point.
mm. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
I enjoyed the story. Good to see it. Janice Alden's artwork is always a pleasure to see. Um, one of the things that I like about his art is that it works as well as in color as it does in black and white as well.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't as Anthony Spay's artwork. He seems to back off the inks a little bit because he knows they're going to be coloured.
Yeah,
Whereas I don't think Ordon is. Yeah, you can see he enjoys the inks. So
yeah, yeah. Tend to agree with that. All right, so we're going to move over to Shane Foley's story, which I guess you would call this like a recap or a prologue to his new series, which we're going to see called Hunter's Prey. So this is technically part one, but we spend the whole, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages basically just catching you up to date. Now, Bad Blood ran in through issues 159, 1963, 1965, 1970, 1973, and 1974. So yeah, basically what we saw then is it was a whole mishmash of past stories and new elements coming in. And we've got the Phantom rescuing someone from the Golden People. We've also got Dr. Emma Clark, who's from another story. We've got the Elby, which is another story. We've got someone from the Green Forest, which is another story. And then we've got some new elements which weren't introduced in Lee Falk stories with the Leopard Men and also Jack Hara or Jack. So now you and I are both unabashed Shane Foley fans. So what did you think about this story?
I think if the brief was you've got to write a fast-paced adventure and include characters past and present, he's nailed it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's so the good thing about how he does it is he's not contradicting what Lee Falk wrote or even Tim Fanman. He's just adding. And obviously, I'm not sure whether he enjoys that or not, but I enjoy him showing the respect and I enjoy him adding to it. So I think, look, some of these stories I think will be better off if we never saw again, like, The Fourth Son, which I've discussed with Shane Foley before, and he's, written that in some of his stories and all that as well. But yeah, look, um, It's
I
it's
don't think
it's
it's
it's fun.
necessarily adding to it. Is just utilizing these characters that have only maybe been seen once and using them in his story in certain landmarks that we're familiar with to create this adventure.
Yeah, yeah. I reckon he has great fun rereading the stories though. So it'll be interested. And Shane, if you do listen to this, please drop us a comment on YouTube. But it'll be interesting. What's his process? Does he have this story in his mind already, or and then he reads the stories to try and fit in the characters from past stories, or does he read the stories and then it gives him the ideas on how to do it? Because it must, yeah, it must be interesting the process because I think it wouldn't be easy to do.
No, I don't think it would be. Is one of my favourite Shane Foley stories is Strange Day of the Witchman,
And why's that?
where what was that? Sorry.
And why is it your favorite?
Yeah, so again, it's a story that's only been written once by Falk, and he's managed to, squeeze in a story, create a story from that one story, and fill in a gap, and create another adventure. So is quite clever
Hmm.
in the way he's been able to do that.
Yeah, yeah. No, very good. Some of the panel work is really good in this story as well, like page 28, where you've got this heavy shadow of the leopard man. A lot of black ink, but you know, that looks really good. It almost reminds me of, I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Grum? Who does a lot of just his heavy blackness in that. I've got one of his comics and it kind of reminds me of that. I really, yeah, look, this page here on page 30, we've got this panel here. I thought it was also interesting about how he's left Devil behind to hang out with Jack, while the Phantom, go jumps in the helicopter. It's an interesting concept where Devil's not just a sidekick, where he's almost a hero on his own.
Yeah, agree. It's a good element utilizing Devil for a little bit more than just a sidekick. Yeah.
Mm, mm. So look, not quite sure how many parts this is going to be. I would assume it's at least 5 parts, maybe if not more. It's not really much that we can say right at this time because we're seven pages in. I would recommend those read some of these other pages, these other stories, parts of Bad Blood in Bangala, which is 1959, 1963, 1965, 1970, 1973, and 1974. Anything else you want to raise or discuss? Otherwise, we'll move on.
Yeah, not necessarily. Looking forward to the next parts.
All right, so we got Giant Size number 35. Now, a great cover by Jason Paulos. So for those who are wanting to know, Giant Size 35 has a Phantom story in, which we will be reviewing. It also has a Sir Falcon, the Phantom Commando, no relation to our Phantom, Planet Man, the Shadow, and the Raven. Now, we are a Phantom podcast and not a Sir Falcon or a Shadow. So we would not be reviewing those. We would just be reviewing the Phantom story. Anything you want to comment on the cover?
I like it. It's got all the characters in there, front and back. Nice wraparound cover. Yeah, it's a nod to previous covers where everyone's involved.
Yeah,
It's done a good job.
Especially the back page. It's got that bit of who's that? Will Eisner. Yeah, Will Eisner with those big block letters and stuff. Jason Paulus likes that style. When it comes to a giant size cover, I like the ones that kind of have a story rather than just, like just, I don't know how this is going to sound, but some of the recent covers we've had has just been, like the Phantom punching someone and someone running behind them and stuff like that. There's no real story to it where this is almost got a story with the elements like the buildings and the blocks, and so I do like those type of covers better on my giant sizes.
Do you prefer that to? I remember Glenn Lumsden when he was doing the covers. It was almost a nod to the original covers where all the characters had a smile and they were having fun and they were doing something odd like at the Olympics or skydiving or
Yeah, no, look, in my opinion, Glenn Lumsden is still the benchmark for the giant size Phantom covers. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, there's just been a couple like the last three or four covers compared to this. This has got more of a story to it, so
yeah.
that's why I probably prefer that. So the Phantom story is a Fratello Sparta story. Now, one of the things that you have the biggest complaint when it comes to our podcasts is that we always butcher the Italian names. Now, this is an opportunity where we're going to make you put your Italian heritage on the line, and you are going to tell us how to pronounce these two names in a proper, authentic Italian way.
And after this, I'll pronounce another artist that you always butcher as well. All right, the artist is Giorgio Cambiotti, and Annabelle Casabianca.
Okay.
The artist I'm referring to. Yep. Sorry.
Okay. No, keep going.
Now the artist name that you always seem to butcher is Bill Lignante. It's a silent G.
Naughty.
A lot like Bologna, Lignante.
And if you're on YouTube, you would see Daniel using his hands as he's saying this in because the accent does not come out the right way without the usage of the hands. Isn't that right?
Good emphasize, yeah.
Now, correct me if I am incorrect, but Annabelle, that's not Annabelle as in the female way. That's the male pronunciation of that name. Is that correct?
I believe it's a female name. I think it's the Italian version of Annabelle.
Okay, so you think it is the female? Okay,
Yeah, I could be wrong, but yeah.
okay, cool. All right, so look, that's the whole reason why we got him on this podcast is just so you can actually say those names correct.
And I'm
No,
glad I
jokes
had the
aside,
opportunity to clear up the Bill Lignante one as well.
that's it. So yeah, so there's no excuse now. Um, Now, so we're going into this story. We've got the Phantom who is traveling New York in as a normal person, in incognito, as the old famous jungle saying goes. Um, this story gets straight into it. We're two panels in, and we've got the Phantom stopping trouble already, and we've got the Phantom getting into action as well as Devil, who looks a lot like a German Shepherd. What are your thoughts of this story?
I'm very critical, as you know, of the Sparta stories. I don't usually enjoy them. As the great Dan Fraser has mentioned, what was the excuse? It was these stories were produced at a time in probably the golden era of folk Barry stories. My only rationale can be that they were producing these stories to uh, appease or the appeal to their audience of the time. The artwork's clearly Barry esque. In saying all of that, I enjoyed it. Will I read it again? Probably not, but it was short, sweet, 14 pages. It belongs where it should be in the giant size.
Yeah. Yeah. Tend to agree with pretty much everything you said, except when you said the great Dan Fraser. So I'm not quite. We don't want to boost his ego too much. So
Him and I have a very similar taste in Phantom stories.
fair enough. But yeah, no, look, I enjoyed it. Now, when did you figure out that the person in the outfit was Diana?
Not until the end. So it was a good little plot twist.
Okay. I must admit, I figured it out as soon as Devil went with him on page 4 in the panel in the car here. I thought, oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
Diana. And then it kind of reconfirmed it on page 4 where it's like, he comes home and Devil's already there. It's like, yeah, that was Diana. That's very clever. I like that. But I think the good thing about this story that I liked is that it shows that Diana is not just that shrinking violet just sitting around waiting. Oh, Phantom, come and marry me. You know, she's living a life. She's, if she sees injustice, she's going to, try and fix it,
Investigate.
investigate. And, she's an adventurer, she's an explorer, she's, a hunter, she's, an aviatrix. She's all these type of people. Unfortunately, Lee Falk kind of from about the 40s and the 50s just started using her as a as a kidnap tool. So there is that kind of element in this story, like she kind of needs the Phantom to rescue her, but there was enough where we kind of see the true type of Diana.
Mm.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to raise about this story?
No, that'd be about it for me.
Yeah. Look, really enjoyed it. Devils makes a good hero. I like Diana, how like you see here, where she shoots the gun out of the person's hand. Obviously,
Yeah.
She's been taking shooting lessons from the Phantom, which is good as well. And then it's all kind of wrapped up and then they can kind of go off. So, it's a nice little ending. All right, so we've finished going through the stories. So now what we're going to do is we are going to review the comics from Germany and USA. Now, we know there are still comics that come out in Norway, Sweden, France, and Brazil. So if you're listening to us and you read those comics, you buy those comics, and you would like to help, please contact us because we do want to include those stories in our monthly reviews. So coming up, we have from Germany, we have Zauberstern Phantom issue number 21, and from ECR 80 and 81 from Christian. And from the USA, from Scott, who's been doing a great job with the Phantom 20, as well as everything comes from Mad Cave. We have the Phantom issue number 2 from Mad Cave called The Tempest, which is by Ray Fawkes and Russell Olson. So take it away, Christian and Scott, and then we'll come back.
Welcome to Chronicle Chamber. My name is Chris. Today we have a look at Zauberstern Comics number 21. It costs €10 and we have 4 comics in it. It's called Apes, Trains, The Cliff Kingdom, and The Challenge. We have comics from Mark Verheiden, Luke McDonnell, and Don John Arneston, Jim Aparo, Tony DePaul, and Paul Ryan. We start with Apes, and it's released in Brazil, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and United States. And for me, it's difficult to read this colored speech bubble with black text in it. It's hard for me to read, but the story, it is cool. The printing is sharp, the paper, like Zauberstern, always good. And it's an awesome story. And we have some cover art, another cover art, and we have Trains, Todeszug in German, which is only released in Brazil, United States, and as third country, Germany. And also a very cool story. And also perfect printing. And we have some advertising, a nice poster, double-sided. And then we come to the next story. Das Klippenkönigreich, the Cliff Kingdom. And we have some releases in Australia, Brazil, Canada, Denmark, France, India, Italy, Mexico, Thailand, United States, and from Bastei. We have the stories in 2 magazines. Number 96, Die Verdammten von Themalie. And another page, and this page, and in the magazine number 222, it's the same story. First page, and the next page, and the third page. And in German it's Das Klippenkönigreich, which is also a nice story. Cool to read. Perfect printing. All very, very sharp. And then we have Gurans Herausforderung, The Challenge. And it's a daily story from Tony DePaul and Paul Ryan. And we have reprints in Australia, Bahamas, Finland, India, Jamaica, Mexico, Norway, the Philippines, El Salvador, Spain, Sweden, and United States, and also it's a very cool story to read. And the next Phantom Zauberstern magazine comes out on December 23rd. A Christmas present, so to say, and the back cover from Stefan Sombetsky. And today we have a look at ECR, Werner Reuss Verlag, Phantom number 80. It is sealed in plastic, and we have some advertising here. And we start with the comic number 80. It's a daily story with cover from Andy, who nobody knows. And we have Der Eiserne Drache. It's the Iron Dragon. It's a daily story from 1961. The printing is awesome. It's black and white. And we have reprints in Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, Denmark, Egypt, Finland, France, Greece, Iceland, India, Italy, Jamaica, Mexico, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, United Arab Republic, United Kingdom, United States, and the former Yugoslavia. We have 17 pages for €24.80, and the back cover. And we have the daily story number 81 from ECR Verlag. Again, cover from Andy, who is a phantom in the art of the cover, and also a daily story printed in black and white from the newspaper strips from Germany. And we have also reprints in Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Greece, Iceland, Italy, Jamaica, Mexico, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, United Arab Republic, United Kingdom, United States, former Yugoslavia. And it's called Der Werwolf, the werewolf in English. We have 21 pages here. And the printing is good, the paper is nice, and we have the back cover. And we're done with these 2 magazines. Thanks for watching.
Hey Phantom fans, you're watching Chronicle Chamber. My name is Scott, and today we're talking about The Phantom #2 from Mad Cave Studios. Written by Ray Fawkes, with art by Russell Olson, letters by Taylor Esposito, and the cover by Freddie Williams II. So if you've been following the series, or read the first issue, this picks up right at the tail end of there, where Asif Singh and the Singh Brotherhood have descended upon the Bandar village. We start with Asif Singh pointing a gun at Guran, and this is really kind of our intro to more of the Phantom's characterization this issue, but we have kind of a dueling events going on in this next leg of the story. So a lot of the purple you see here, you're going to see a lot of Phantom monologuing in this issue. A lot of it's just him kind of doing the mental math and figuring out everything that's going on. And, you know, in this case, he's watching, Asif Singh point a gun at Guran, and, he's seeing a gun pointed at his friend. So he's, drawn to pull his own gun. But we have a little bit of almost like a Hamlet interplay going on there, where the Phantom knows that if he fires a gun, it's going to cause a bloodbath, and the Bandar will die. But at the same time, he doesn't want to see his friend, die. And so, this issue really follows what's going on with the Phantom during all this and what's going on with Guran. And so Guran is going to negotiate. I use that word in air quotes, even though you can't see me, with Asif Singh. And they're going to talk over what the terms of this, for a lack of a better word, partnership or takeover is probably a better word, is going to look like. So, we have the Phantom. He's got his gun drawn here. He's looking down the sights. And then, we go into Asif pulls his gun back because Guran is a smooth talker. And really, the real hero of this issue is Guran, because he, just using his ability to reason and think and respond really saves him and gives time to the Phantom. And that's what this is about time. So from here, the Phantom, he's relieved, but he realizes he has to act fast and he has to use what he has at his disposal. And so through his monologue, we know it's very hot out, in that the Phantom has an advantage here. This is the jungle. This is his home. This is his home base. So he'll have to, use the shadows in the background. And he also acknowledges that the Singh Brotherhood, their foot soldiers are, they're not the smartest. They're not the best. And so he's going to spring into action and take them out, one by one as best as he can, without drawing attention. And so that's really what this issue is. We have him surveying the scene. We have him understanding who's who. One of the things I like here, and you'll see it throughout, all the Singh Brotherhood, they're all, cloaked in kind of fatigues here like this. But as you can see just in, this panel and the one on the right, different ethnicities, which leans into this idea that Asif Singh mentions in his conversation with Guran later, that they are an international organization. And so we really kind of feel that internationalness in the makeup of the soldiers of the Singh pirates. And so, the beginning of this issue is really just the Phantom assessing where everybody is and where his plan of attack is. This is really an issue where we're inside his head and we're kind of working through it. And what I like about this is it establishes that he's a thinker, that he's not going to go in guns blazing, and that he's going to find a way to do things with as minimal damage or harm as possible. On the flip side, we have Guran, who's meeting with Asif, and they're having this terse conversation about, what the future looks like for them. Asif is confident. He's looking for his drugs that, if you read the last issue of Plane Crashed, the Singh Brotherhood has landed because they're looking for what was on the plane, which was drugs. And if they don't find that, they want something from the village. So all their valuables, all their, everything that means something to them. So this is a takeover. And in return, they get protection. Again, air quotes, can't see it. But, we have what I actually like about the art on this page before I turn is the menacing, weird, smug smirk going on with Asif. So we see too with his dialogue, like last issue, it's black and red outlined here for Asif as he's telling Guran what's going to happen. And basically, that any damage his soldiers cause to the Bandar village, it's damage to Asif as well, so he will deal with it, which I take to mean as he's not going to deal with it because, they don't care about plates getting smashed or whatever else is going to get ransacked. We see the soldier ripping this tapestry from the wall, and someone questioning, oh, that's not valuable, but, it's kind of a we'll see. And this conversation, it leads us to, as once they get outside of the Phantom, making his moves. He saw things through, and here he is taking something off of a tree and throwing it at a Sing foot soldier, who then thinks it's someone who is taunting him, and it sparks a fight. So, we have a kind of a fun little action beat here, where it really is just the Phantom using his brain. He grabs a walkie-talkie, he picks up those things he threw, he runs back into the jungle. All the while, Garan is trying to reason and counterpoint things Sif is saying. Sif is trying to, make it seem like it's, a partnership when it's really not. And so Garan's kind of questioning it and pushing back a little bit, but not doing enough so to annoy him, just to really draw out the conversation. And that's kind of the beauty of this issue, is Garan here is buying time. That's what his goal is. He's giving time to the Phantom to do what he's doing. And Phantom is, counting out the people he's taken down. So we see in this, opening panel right here, 4 down, 11 left. So he's going through the camp, taking down all the soldiers before he makes his final move and save his friend. So one by one, I kind of like it because there is some humor here. Here he is like tossing this guy over a branch and then hiding this other one. All the while, this dude who has been smoking since, earlier on is still on his smoke break. But it's also kind of a ticking time bomb, or a countdown, I think is a better word. The Phantom, makes notes of how much time he has left. He uses the walkie-talkie to his advantage because the one wrench that gets thrown in mid-issue is they find the medical supplies. And for an organization like the Singh Brotherhood, this is super important. Phantom knows it, and, the Bandar need it because their chief is ailing. It's mentioned several times in this issue. We see the chief in the first issue. It's Garan's father. And so, we have this terse conversation continues, but you could see once Asif really lays down the cards in his understanding, Garan is in darkness here. He's been light and bright up to that point, but he's in darkness because he is kind of stuck, based on what Asif's saying. It's kind of a good way to add that tension in the art. But this world this is leading to, these guys are taking this medical supplies. Asif and Garan are having their conversation, when the Phantom is in action, and we get this note that, we think Asif has Garan based on that dark panel, but by the end, things brighten up again, and the point beaten home is, no, I was actually just, stalling and keeping the conversation going because the jungle needs time to react. We have a protector as well, so your protection means nothing essentially, and he's about to come, and that's where we land on this final shot of the Phantom jumping out of a tree and leaping down at more Singh foot soldiers. So it's a fun issue. Like I said, I really like the inner workings and thought process of Phantom. I think the real hero of this issue is Garan, because without his smooth talking in the beginning of the issue, Phantom might have fired his gun. It's kind of the suggestion there. He knows he shouldn't, but there's that tension and that fear that's taking over. We get a tease for the third issue here. And one of the things I like, we didn't, if you're reading these issues in the back of the book, they have a little, write-up about the character in the back of the first issue. In this one, we just have a little bit on the art and layout process from Russell Olson. So you can see, from initial sketching to, inking to colors. Kind of a neat addition here. I hope they continue it. I really, I'm enjoying this series so far. It's still too early to tell where it's going to go. One question I do have, though, and I tried to reference issue 1 to answer my question. And Phantom knows who the Singh Brotherhood are. Like, that is established. He talks about it. He talks about them like, He's very aware of who they are. But Asif, at least from his mouth, we haven't really known if there's an understanding if he is aware of the Phantom. Do the Singh Brotherhood know about the Phantom? You would assume they do if the Phantom knows about them, but it isn't explicitly stated, so it's kind of up in the air. And so we don't know where on the timeline of their relationship and them knowing about each other and the Phantom's timeline this takes place. But that's, the one lasting question I have is, how much do they know about each other? Clearly Phantom is at least on some level aware. He may have had engagements. Maybe they were small. It seems like that could be the case. But, question I have, other than that, great issue. It's fun. The art is, very action oriented. It has a lot of movement and pacing, and the writing, the way they break it up. There are a lot of words in this comic, and I like that from a reading standpoint. I don't like it when it's mostly art, but it's broken up in a way where it's not too distracting or takes us away from, what we're seeing going on. So I'll be looking forward to the next issue.
Awesome. Thank you, Scott and Christian, for your amazing reviews. Like we said before, if your country's comics are not included in this, please get in contact with us and we can include those. Now we are going to do some news from around the world. Now, there's a fair bit to discuss, so I'm not sure if you have read all these stories on our website, but we are going to discuss it. So up first, we have Sammy J is back with his hero complex. Now, did you ever watch the first episode or the first comedy
No, I
show?
haven't, no.
No. Okay. So for those who come in late, pun intended, Sammy J, who is an Australian comedian, he's done lots of comedy shows for about a decade. He's been on The Breakfast Show over in Melbourne for ABC as well. He did back in 2016, so a decade ago, he did a show called Hero Complex, which was his journey from a teenager or a pre-tween as a Phantom fan, and how the Phantom and a friend who was also a Phantom fan, how their lives kept intertwining each other over a couple of decades. So the show went really, really well. If you haven't seen the show, we would recommend you going to our website. We've got podcast interviews with Sammy J where he talks about it. We've got all that type of stuff so you can learn about this show. So the show will be going from end of January, all the way till the middle of May. Now, he will be visiting Narre Warren, Geelong, which is in Victoria, Perth, which is going to be the Fringe World Festival. So that's something that we can go, Daniel. Then there's going to be an Adelaide Fringe Festival, which is February and the beginning of March. Towards the end of March, he's going to be in Canberra. And I know there's a few fans out in Canberra. We've got Mark Hayward, Sam Allen, Luke Gagan, and Anthony. So hopefully they all kind of can catch up and watch the comedy show together. Then it also goes in Melbourne in April, and also Sydney in April. Interesting, there's only one night in Sydney, and he's doing a couple on the others. In May, we've got Penrith, Chatswood, and then last but definitely not least, there is going to be a thing in Brisbane as well for the Brisbane Comedy Festival on the 16th and 17th of May. So are you going to come to this one, Dan?
Yeah, I would like to. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I do remember vaguely the podcast where he talks about it briefly. That was a couple of years ago. I think you had Duncan Munro on that same podcast.
Yes, that is correct. Now, that was episode 45. Like we said, it was a decade ago and almost 300 episodes ago as well. So yeah, now he won the best comedy show for Melbourne, and then he was nominee for Adelaide, Melbourne, and also the Helpin Awards as well. So there's won some awards. There was lots of pretty cool promos. He was on ABC and various other shows and all that, spruiking the Phantom. So it's pretty cool that he's able to spruik the Phantom. He's fairly well known. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Again, if you haven't seen it or you're kind of interested in what's going on, check out our website because there's lots of information on that. I reckon we might have to get Sammy J back on the podcast, so that will be something that we will try and organise maybe in the new year as well. Now, Dan, have you been following the Phantom 2040, A New Shadow web series?
I have not, no.
You have not. Well, for those who have, and for those who have been reading and or watching our reviews on our website, there is a new artist called George Combadius. And again, I apologize for butchering that name, who has joined the team for the creative team. So there's on our website, we've got some of this preview art, a bit of information about him. So his bio reads as George is a self-taught comic book artist and illustrator from Greece. He started his professional career co-creating the book The Double Life of Miranda Turner. Since then, George has gone on to work with many major companies, including DC, Dynamite, Disney, IDW, Dark Horse, and of course, now King Features with 2040. So yeah, so I hope look, it's the style's very similar. If you're on YouTube, we'll have some of the artwork kind of showing up along with our beautiful mugs. But yeah, it's interesting. Now, are you going to go back and read this, or are you going to just wait for it to appear in a comic book format?
Now, at the moment, it's only digital. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I'd probably wait for it to be published into a comic book form.
Yeah, hopefully it does. I'm not quite sure who would publish it. I'm not sure because it is a King Features. So I guess technically any of the publishers that have rights to the newspaper stories might have also rights to publish this. There might have to be a question we ask King Features, actually. So we might look at that. All right, so the next point of news is there's a few interesting bits and pieces coming out of the the Phantom video game. Now, have you played this video game, Dan?
I have, yes. I've got a copy for Nintendo Switch.
No worries. Now, am I correct in saying that you purchased a Nintendo Switch just so you can play the game?
That is correct.
And so obviously you're not a gamer. How are you going with, playing the video game?
Again, coming from a non-gamer's background, it definitely has that side scroller double dragon feel to it. It's quite a hard game to play. I have got through the first stage, but yeah, again, haven't focused too much on it. Haven't spent a lot of time on the console, so
awesome. All right, so the first bit of news is that for those Xbox users, great news that the Phantom game is currently out for pre-orders, and on perhaps the best day ever in December, besides Christmas, of course, on the 5th of December, the game will be available for those who have pre-ordered it. Now, also on the 5th of December, again, like we said, it is an awesome day. There is going to be the printed art books will be available as well. Now, have you seen these printed art books?
I've heard of them.
Okay, so now if you can purchase a digital version of it right now, or you can wait a little bit longer, order the printed one, which has got extra, which has got extra pages. It is going to be a big sucker. I think these are called like a coffee book, like when you go to like a studio or you go to the swanky little places that have these full coffee table books, which you put on there, which makes you look sophisticated and cultured and, all that type of stuff, which is not us. That is going to be what this is going to look like. I think it is going to look awesome. Now, So that is also, you can find that information on our website. However, I reckon there might be something else coming out. Now, have you seen the other Kickstarter games that Art of Play have released?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so they have two games called Lady Death, which is another comic book series, and Danger Mouse. Now, did you ever watch Danger Mouse as a kid?
I did indeed, yes.
Okay, so they're releasing so on Kickstarter currently they've got a Danger Mouse game. Now, on one of those levels of Danger Mouse, there is an arcade game. Now, did you ever play arcade games back in the 90s?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Now, so obviously they've got a Danger Mouse game. Now we're speculating here, okay? But this is our podcast, so we can speculate and we can have fun doing so. Now, how cool would a Phantom arcade game be? Now,
Very cool.
I know you don't have enough room, so you would most likely have to kick out your mum to be able to fit this into your house. Um, I'm extending my house. I showed it to my wife, and she goes, "Oh, that looks cool." So it wasn't a no straight away, but an arcade game, it would take up a lot of room. But I reckon that would be pretty cool. Now, if they could do it for Danger Mouse and they could do it for Lady Death, can they do it for the Phantom? What do you reckon? Do you reckon it will be cool?
I think it'd be good, and again, it's more marketing. It's getting the character out there, bringing in more appeal, and hopefully the next generation.
Yeah, but look, I'm not sure whether like I remember, you go to the old fish and chip shop and they had Space Invaders, or you go to Time Zone. I'm not quite sure it will go to
Pinball
that,
machine.
or yeah, but for some of the people that are a little bit older than us, they've got dispensable income, and they've their kids have left home, and so there's that room which is now just collecting dust. You could quite easily put a pinball, a Phantom arcade game machine in there as well. So now, if you're out there and you like the sound of this, make some noise, because nothing ever gets done if we keep quiet. So it's only a possibility, but let's make some noise. If you like the idea, let us know about it. Now, talking about the Phantom and King features, they are going to be back on on a cruise. Now, at the beginning of 2025, the Phantom and King features were on a comic cruise in the US. Now, have you ever done a cruise, Daniel?
I have not.
Okay. Would you ever do a cruise?
Oh, I kind of like being on the green.
Now, I traveled in a plane with you, and you had ants in your pants the whole way. So I'm not quite sure how you would go flying to America to do a 4-day cruise.
Yeah, bit out of my bit out of my comfort zone, but yeah.
Yes. So for those who are in America and you love cruising, now I believe fan Duncan Munro actually went to the 2025 one.
Wow.
As we are talking about it, we're going to show some of the pictures of what happened on the 2025 cruise from a Phantom perspective. There was some Phantom posters, there was some Phantom, full size stickers and decals and stuff like that. So again, it's good to see King Features doing stuff and portraying their heroes, including the Phantom, because we need the Phantom out there. So that's good news. So if you are going to this cruise and you are a fan, please let us know, because we would love to hear from you after the cruise. Now, one thing I reckon you do, Dan, is you are reading the Defenders of the Earth series by Mad Cave Studios. Is that correct?
Yes.
No worries. Now, did you enjoy the first series?
I've probably read it once. I haven't gone back to read it again. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was.
No worries. What did you enjoy about it?
Um, more the pacing of it than
Yeah.
the phantom elements of it. And again, a bit of a nod to the previous editions and the cartoon, etc. So yeah.
No worries. Well, now have you seen the sneak peek of what the Phantom's going and the other cast of heroes is going to look like by the new artist in Johancho Valise?
I have not, no.
And again, if you're on YouTube, you will see this. And if you're on audio only, you're just going to have to take our word for it. Now, what do you think about that look of the Phantom, Mandrake, Flash, and Lothar? It's different,
It's a
isn't it?
different. It's a different take. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I must admit, I'm not quite sure if I like it. Um, there's almost, it almost looks like there's a mix of a different couple of styles. Like Flash almost looks like someone's taken a photo and then they've kind of traced it. Where the
Mm.
Phantom, now it could just be the pose, and the Phantom looks quite ugly and fat in his face. So it could just be the pose. I actually think Lothar actually looks the best out of all of them. He actually looks realistic, and Mandrake just looks like a rat.
It's a different interpretation, but yeah,
Yeah.
be interesting to see the rest of the artwork.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to make my judgment just on this just now, but it's going to be interesting to see how that, if it's that style throughout the whole of it. Now, I believe the new series is going to be 5 issues. It's called Dark Destiny. Now, it comes out first week of December. So about the time this podcast comes out, it's actually going to be released. Now, what we've actually done as a bit of a nod to the new series is we've actually done some investigative journalism, and we have dug out some never before seen information on the original 1980s Defenders of the Earth comic book series. So by the time this podcast comes out, that will be out. If you have not seen that article, we recommend you go back and read the article. It will take you a little bit of time to read it. There's a lot of information in there, and it's just to kind of give you a bit of an idea. This article's been probably about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years in the making. We've contacted different artists, including Alex Silviak, Mark McKenna, James Fry. There's been other people who we've consulted in, myself, Siaz Uber, Andreas Erikson, Howard Gisbeck, and some others as well. So it's been, a bit of an investigative. I hope everyone enjoys that article. But yeah, if you are a Defenders of the Earth fan, hope you enjoy the new series that will be reviewed by Scott as it comes out. Read the article and let us know what your thoughts are of the article, but also the new style. Okay, now moving on. Phantom Men, the Swedish publisher by Egmont, have announced that they're releasing a new hardcover series. Now, the translated version of that is The Historical Stories of the Phantom. Now, I know you're not a huge, Dan, I know you're not a huge international Phantom comic collector, but you have seen my Chronicle books, correct? They're those big,
Yes.
fat, thick ones, which are probably 200-300 pages, and each volume has stories just of, say, the first Phantom or the second and the third. Now they look pretty cool, don't you reckon?
I agree.
You were tempted in actually buying a set. That's how much you were actually impressed with. Now, originally it was a concept. Every month or every quarter they released 100-page issue from about 1990, which ended in 2010. So it went for about 20 years, and they were collecting all stories. So they printed all stories of the first Phantom, and then they went to the second Phantom, and they did it all the way up. I think they even included some futuristic Phantom stories as well. Now that series ended in 2010. Now what they're actually doing now is they're going to be releasing a hardcover version of this, a new hardcover version. So to start off with, there's going to be 20 books in the series. So the first one will be of the first Phantom, etc., etc., etc. Now, it's not going to cover every story of the first Phantom. There's going to be new stories, and there's also going to be reprint stories as well. Now, The first one is going to be 160 pages. It is going to cost 200 kroner, which is about 45 AUD, 30 US, 25 euro, and in the Indian rupiah, about 2.5 thousand. And then, so that's a special price for the first one. And then the second, third, etc., is going to be about 75% more. So 70 US, no, 70 Australian, 45 US, etc. The first cover is a cover by Hans Lindell, which is a beautiful picture of the Phantom with his hands up. You've got him swearing the oath. You've got the ship burning in the background with lots of smoke and then being washed up on shore. So it's a real heroic origin style picture. Now, I'm going to be getting this. Are you going to be tempted in getting it, or will you give it a miss?
I'll be looking at your copy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Again, if there's anyone out there that will be buying this and you would like to review it, please get in contact with us.
Shame they're not published in English, but we know the reasons why.
Yeah, I reckon there's room. I reckon once we've done this replica issue, once we've done the replica issues and we're down to about 50, so we don't have many left, maybe 1 or 2 more years, I would like to see Dudley do something like that, where, you know, it's just reprint stories and you just basically, you know, you can use the Phantom Man issue 1 and just do 100 pages, same format, where it's just reprint stories of the first Phantom and kind of go from there. I reckon that could be a nice little format.
I agree. But good little theme to run a series of.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so sticking in Sweden, for their 75th anniversary, which we talked about last month, they had a competition for new old jungle sayings. Now, old jungle sayings are the flavor of the month. We've done a whole podcast on it. We love our jungle sayings over at the Phantom. So have you seen these 10 jungle sayings that they have chosen, which we get to vote for?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to read them out, and then I want you to tell me which one's your favorite. Okay, so number 1, the Phantom forgets neither enemies nor friends. Yeah. Neither cage nor grave can hold the Phantom. It's not bad. Number 3, where the Phantom's shadow falls, justice shines. Not bad. Where the long arm of the law does not reach, that's where the Phantom reaches. Yeah, that's pretty good. Number 5, the Phantom never abandons a friend in need. Number 6, he who steals from the weak fills his pocket with the Phantom's wrath. Number 7, anyone who has encountered the Phantom never forgets it. Number 8, he who is hunted by the Phantom can never rest. Number 9, the Phantom can be gentle as a house cat and as fierce as a wounded lion. That's pretty good. He who is under the protection of the Phantom has a friend who never fails. So which one's your favourite?
Probably that last one. Probably that last one or number 6.
The number 6 is, he who steals from the weak fills his pocket with the Phantom's wrath. And number 10, which is the last one, he who is under the protection of the Phantom has a friend who never fails. Now, so Daniel, seeing you've chosen which one you like the best, you go to phantomen.org, FANTOMEN for November.org, and you can put in your vote to which one's your favourite. And for everyone who enters, you get the chance, and I know you like yourself a tote bag, of having a tote bag with the new old jungle saying printed on it. So you got no excuse now, Daniel. I expect you, once this podcast is finished, to go over to phantomen.org and you can go check them out. Now we've got a huge depository of random Phantom images. Now you will see, as we've been talking, we've included some of these panels that we've found and stuck some of these new old jungle sayings on, just so that way you can kind of get a bit of an idea on where you may see one of these appearing in a new story coming soon. All right, we have almost finished. Thank you everyone for listening and staying with us, and Daniel for staying with us as well. Okay, so coming back to Australia, Malin Diaries. Now, are you a Malin Diary collector?
I have been collecting them for the past few years. Yes, I believe I have more. Might be missing a few journals, but yeah.
No worries. So for those who are collecting it like you, there is the pre-orders are currently open for the 2026 Malin Diary. Now, with the Malin Diary, there is going to be there's the normal diary. There is actually a limited collector's version of the diary. I got there's only 70 copies of those. So it's um so for those completists, you'll be able to get that. There's going to be an undated Phantom journal, and then of course there is the normal diary as well. So the normal diary is $55 plus postage. The undated Phantom journal is $40 plus postage. This is in all Australian dollars. And for the limited edition Phantom Diary, which there is only 70 of, it is going to be $65. And there is also going to be a limited edition print, which is 100 Australian plus postage. Again, only limited to 70. And there is also going to be an official 90th anniversary bookmark. But that's not all. There's more. We feel like we're in daytime TV. At the moment, there is also going to be a set of 10 design prints, which is another $90 plus postage. So that's 100, 200, 300, $360 all up plus postage. And you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different items. Now, have you put your order in?
I have indeed. Yeah, is Doug Kluber the artist behind the print?
He is. Now, did you order everything?
Yes. I did accept. I did accept for the trade or the regular edition. I chose the special edition diary.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you're one of those completists. Well, not a completist because you didn't order the normal one.
No.
Okay. So look, if you're a Malin collector out there, I know there's a lot of yous that that do collect them. So hopefully you enjoy them. I know I know Dan has worked a fair bit on some of the content that's in there as well, using some of the content that we helped Malin with. I believe was it the 85th anniversary one, I believe, from memory. So
Yep.
yeah, so that was quite a bit of a special one. So yeah, so hopefully you all the people enjoy it. I'm not sure if Dan's getting one of each. If he's not, we might have to get you to be able to review all of the things for us with a video as well. But we'll kind of go from there. All right. So now there is. Have you got all the Moonstone stories? All the Moonstone comics,
The
sorry.
yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. For those who do not have all of the Moonstone comics, they have a sale on until December the 12th of this year. So Moonstone published the Phantom from 2002 to about 2010, 11, 12. So for about 10 years, 10 years. Lots of great stories in there. Did you have any stories that you really enjoyed?
None that stand out. Again, I've probably read them many years ago and haven't gone back
So
to reread.
some of the ones were enjoyable were the Stones of Blood, the Aviatrix, where a modern version of Cyban comes back. Mike Bullock did some fabulous real life dark in the sense of dark themes stories with bad guys teaming up to attack the Phantom um and stuff like that. So there's some sorry, my wife is messaging me and trying to distract me. Um So yeah, look, there's some great Moonstone stories out there. If you are missing some of them, you can get up to 25% of the ones that they've got left, and you will need the code Phantom Pickup, all one word. It is going to be splashed up on our screen if you're on YouTube, so you'll be able to get those. Now, I wonder if they are doing this as a bit of a soft launch, that maybe their new series is almost ready to be published. I wonder, because the stories have been created, and I believe that the delay has been caused because of the Diamond distribution that has been cancelled. From what I understand in talking to our local comic book shop, Daniel, that seeing they were with Diamond, they now have to go through the process to go with Luna, which is the new comic distributor. Herms Press have just done that. We will talk about them in a second. And so it does take a period of time for that to happen. As of last time I spoke to the local comic book shop, Moonstone's not on the Luna distribution, which means nothing will be out in January and possibly February. So I expect something maybe, March, April, May, which will be nice timing because it'll be the 90th anniversary of the Phantom. And you've seen some of the artwork of the new Phantom series. What did you think of it?
Jeebus, I have to go back and have a look. I don't recall off the top of my head from the new series.
Yeah, you've got a piece of the original artwork from the new series, so I know you've seen the artwork.
I've seen the artwork.
Did you like the artwork?
It's all a blur. Was that sorry?
Blur. Did you like it, or have you got that much Phantom stuff that you don't even know what you've got?
I actually haven't got it in my hands yet. I haven't managed to
That's
catch
right.
up.
I forgot to bring it over. So it's still mine. Look, the art's well, I'm hesitant to use the word dark, but there's a lot of ink. It's in black and white. It looks very noirish. But I really enjoy the artwork. There's some really great full page panels of the Phantom and stuff like that. So look, you're going to be seeing the Phantom in action, and I think the fans will really enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to the Moonstone series coming out, hopefully soon. All right. So as we talked about, as we previewed, Herms Press is back, releasing their Sunday and newspaper volumes. Now, have you ever do you purchase any of these?
I do, yeah.
Have you got them all, or are you a couple
No,
behind?
I'm missing one of the Sundays. I'll probably get about 20, 30 out of the dailies. But yeah, I enjoy the books. Yeah, high quality.
Yeah. And so one of the beauties is now it's been almost a year since they've released any more of these volumes. Now, daily volume number 35 will be out in January, February of 2026. Now, if you buy your stuff from comic book shops, you can get it from your comic book shop. I've spoken to mine, and again, they are now with Luna, which means you can order it through your comic book shop or through Amazon and stuff like that. You can also get it from their website as well. But if you're in Australia or something like that, get it through your local comic book shop. Dailies volume 35 is going to have 5 stories, which is all Lee Falk and Cy Barry. We're nearing the end of these stories. So these stories were produced in 1991 to 1993. We've got the Jungle Patrol versus the Drug Cartel, King Bong Gong, Prince Rex and Princess Alicia, Blackie, and the Italian mystery. Now, they've also announced Sunday's volume number 10 will be released in February, March. Now, this is pretty cool because May 2021, so close to 5 years, was when they first released volume 9. Now, there's been a lot of speculation on why it's taken them 5 years to release the next volume. The best way I can describe it is that they are trying to hunt down the full pages of the Sundays, but they were only able to find black and white versions or the 2/3 of the examples. Now, I'm not sure if these Sundays are going to be the full 3 tiers or whether it's just going to be the 2 tiers, but they are going to be in color. Some panels will be recolored, but I reckon majority of those who get them will not be able to tell which panels have been recolored. Now, in this one, it is going to be the stories from 1970 to 1974, and there is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 stories in that volume. So it's a nice, thick volume with 14 stories in full color by Lee Falk and Cy Barry. And then we've also got news that in June 2026, so we're talking about 6 months from now, Sunday's volume 11 will also be released as well. So I've put in my order with my local comic book shop. Have you done that? Or will you be doing that?
I will be doing that for sure, yeah.
No worries. And a huge shout out to Suaz, Abia, and Jamie Diaz for some of their help on that article and information. All right. Now, are you still with me, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay, still awake. Still awake. Okay, so we're on to our last bit of fandom news for the month of November. It's been a big month. Okay, and that is that over in Sweden, the Linkobings Library, which is in the city of Linkobing, which is in southern Sweden. And again, for all our Swedish brothers and sisters, I apologize for butchering the pronunciation of that name. But they transferred their whole library into blue and jungle. Well, purple if you're in Australia, but it's blue in Sweden. And they had lots of Phantom related themes, including a lecture by Robert Aman, who for anyone who have listened to this podcast, has written academic books about the Phantom and politics. So that was held on the 18th of November. And from what I've been told, it was a great event. And there was a lot of people out there that enjoyed re-seeing the Phantom and hopefully reconnecting with the Phantom. And we'll pick up some Phantom comics because we all know we need that. You're still with us, mate. That was pretty good.
There's a lot of content. I'm enjoying getting the news firsthand.
Well,
I'm gonna have to go back and re-watch so I can slow everything down and catch up again.
Now, for those who that was all a bit of a blur, you can find out about all that type of stuff on our website, which is chroniclechamber.com, or on our social media pages. Now, a bit of a heads up, remind you, we have a very cool in-depth article coming out as we uncover some never before seen and information on the 1980s Defenders of the Earth comic book series. Go to our website, chroniclechamber.com, or our social media pages, and you will see some of that artwork and you will see the story behind that. We would love to hear your thoughts, feedbacks, and opinions on our social media platforms or over the YouTube channel about that article, about this podcast, about anything else that we do. We love to hear your feedback. One of the beauties about the YouTube channel is that some creators actually go back and actually write comments. So if you enjoy reading or getting a peek behind the curtain with various creators, go in and have a look at the YouTube channel. All right. You can also subscribe to us via your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes and or Spotify. Thank you. Please get in contact with us. Thank you, Daniel. And from myself, happy Phantoming and Merry Phantoming.
Happy Phantoming.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
Enemies beware, the Phantom's always there, but you won't mind the Phantom. He fights